Hi, it's odeean here. Today I've got a 2-pack of action figures from DC Collectibles based on the TV show Arrow. My first impression of the box is the box looks a little bit amateurish compared to some of the graphics we get on things like NECA. I don't know what the figures are like. I'll have to open it up to find out. Let's do it. Before I get into it, what I said about the box being amateurish, I take that back. It's pretty collector friendly. The tray back here, you can pop them in and out for storage, so if you did want to keep it, it is good for that. I just found the graphics to be a little bit bland, but all things considered, it would be probably good if everyone did reusable packaging like that. Anyway, now that's out of the way, here's the titular character, Arrow, Oliver Queen. Look, this is a well-made figure. I mean, he's got a decent degree of posability. You can see about 90 degrees there at the elbow. That's actually got detents in it, so it's a clicky joint, which is unexpected. He's got a round at the shoulder, in and out, but this one doesn't want to do it. It's probably, I hope I'm not going to break it here on camera. I'm just going to force that. There. So I'm not sure if that was kind of stiction, you know, when the paint gums up the works, or if that's a ratchet. It feels like it's intended to be a ratchet in the shoulder there. So yeah, there's definitely some detents there in his posability. So he's pretty secure in his upper body. The lower body, I mean, the knee doesn't have that. It's just a kind of pivot. There's no clickiness, which is a bit weird to me. You would think that the clicks would be put down in the knee where it holds all the weight, not up in the upper part of the body. But I mean, it does stand up without falling over, which is all you can really ask. But the unfortunate thing is that the head sculpt doesn't really look like the actor. I mean, it's got the elements in there. It's got the beard, the sprayed over the eyes. And it's worth noting, it is the paint or the makeup over the eyes. So this is Oliver Queen early on, before he gets his little mask. Now, there is going to be a figure later that features the mask. So, you know, you can get as many Oliver Queens as you want, representing different time periods. This one doesn't really do it for me. He doesn't look like Oliver. And what blows it away is that this rubber piece on the top that makes up his hood, it is just too thick. It looks almost comical. And even in the realms of action figures, it looks too thick. It makes it look quite bad. I think they wanted the utility of being able to pull this hood off, because these were the only 2 figures done this year for the Arrow. So perhaps DC thought, if we're only ever going to get one shot at doing an Arrow figure, we better be able to show his head if anyone wants to see his head. I personally would have preferred if they had just gone with a solid sculpt with a hood. And in the later figures, now we know we are getting a shirtless Oliver Queen that you can definitely see his head. And I think if they had known that, it would have been better to just differentiate the two and let people choose whichever they want. But, you know, they went with the best they could do. It's just a pity the face doesn't really look like him. The wrists are quite posable so that he can grab his bow. I'm going to grab the bow now. This is the old style bow, the one I think he took from the island. Let's see if I can get it in there. So he grabs it pretty well, and it's got a real, well, I won't say a real string. It's not a string, it's an elastic, so you can get that stretch. It actually stretches back without flexing this plastic. They could just as easily have used a real string, because there is a bit of bend in this bow, but maybe they're trying to avoid us breaking that. Apart from the bow, Arrow here comes with 2 straight arrows that are individual, and a bunch of arrows to stick in his quiver, which is on his back. So I'm going to pop those in there right now. And there's no hole at the back, they just kind of sit in there. It's like a cup. Let's see if I can, I wonder how he can hold, he's got his fingers pinched together there. So maybe he's going to be able to pinch one of these arrows. Let's see if I can get it between the fingers. Yes, look at that. So he can pinch one of the arrows at the back between his 2 fingers, and look, it might be a bit tricky to pose it, but I mean, if you have time to set it up in your shelf, it's definitely doable. I mean, I'm not going to take 5 minutes here to get that into an ideal pose, but you can see it's definitely doable. You'll notice down on his hip he's got some short arrows. I think he uses a little crossbow occasionally. Now you don't get that weapon with the toy, which seems a bit weird that they would include the arrows for it but not the weapon. But it doesn't matter. This is his primary weapon and it's good enough for me. Really the weakest part of this toy is what you're looking at right now. So I went to pose him and that is one weird groin area. It looks very bad when you get him into that position. God, it looks bad. So you just want to avoid doing that. I mean, it doesn't really have that much backwards and forwards. There's a bit of rub. The sculpt rubs on itself. So if you want to get him squatting down or anything like that, it's not really going to happen. So I'm pushing that to its limit to get it into that amount of pose. So I guess these, he could do that. If you had a stand, I guess you could let him be in a kind of action pose like that. His ankles do have pretty decent range of motion in the backwards and forwards, but nothing in the side to side. But they are on a pivot there. So, you know, if you've got appropriate stands, it is reasonably good. The second half of this set is Deathstroke. If you haven't watched Arrow, and I think you should, it's a very good show. I enjoy it a lot. That's why I've got these figures. Turn this off now because I'm going to say a few things that are a bit spoilery and I don't want to ruin the show for you. And although it may be a bit obvious as the longer you watch it, from the outset of the show, it isn't immediately obvious who the characters are. So, spoiler territory beyond. They call this guy Deathstroke, but at the time these toys were made, I don't think it was really clear, even to the people making the show, what Deathstroke would end up looking like. So they went with the yellow and black face from one of the masks we see on the island, and they've just whacked it on this figure. It's lacking a little bit of what Slade Wilson actually had. One thing that annoys me is that there's only one sword holder at the back and only one sword. Now we know Slade had two of these. He had like a crisscrossed on his back. I don't know how he got two. Maybe I just missed that part. Perhaps he killed his buddy whose name has slipped my mind and took his sword. I can't remember. But later on, I mean, through the rest of the show, we do see him with two swords. So it's not immediately obvious to me that this is, or when it was sculpted, exactly intended to be Slade Wilson as Deathstroke, but they've just stuck that Deathstroke name on it. His upper body has very similar posability to the Arrow. He's got ratcheted shoulders that can go around as well. He's got ratcheted elbow joint that makes about 90 degrees there. His wrist has a bit less degree of posability. Some of his posability is kind of up and down, whereas the Arrow's was side to side. So with Oliver, his posability was suited for the arrow holding, whereas this guy, he's suited for the chopping and slashing with his sword, which is pretty cool. I like the detailing on this outfit. It's really nice. Grenades, the colour of the face. You can see there that it goes down into the neck. I don't think that's accurate, but I like the way they've paid attention to detail of getting it to go down in there. That looks pretty good. His eyes are nice and red, although I don't think his eyes really are red, but at least on the figure it does make them pop out a little bit. I like his body armor. Now, I'm not sure if that comes off. Look, it feels glued on to me. I don't think the body armor comes off, but it's really sculpted nice. I mean, I like the way that they've gone for a glossy paint on some of these areas that are meant to represent hard plastic armor. That's pretty cool. I like that. He does suffer from this horrendous crutch though, which is also a disappointment. Where Deathstroke does improve a bit on the Arrow though is double jointed knee, which is awesome. He's got a really good degree of posability in that knee, and probably because the sculpt allows it. I mean, if you look at the sculpt on the Arrow, he has to have his, you know, his classic looking pants, which aren't suited to having that cutaway area at the back where you can get such a big double joint in there. But definitely Deathstroke, he's got good knees, but still shit hips. I mean, I still can't get his thigh to raise any more than that, so it's got limited utility having that double joint. Apart from the sword, which I already showed you, he comes with this machine gun. It's pretty nice. There's his grenade launcher, I assume, at the bottom to pop those grenades in. He comes with this nice stabby little knife. I'm not sure where that knife can go. He comes with this cool little pistol. Let's focus on that a little bit better. It's reasonably rigid plastic too, so I do have some concern that if you're too rough with it, you might snap it. The pistol can fit into his hand like that. The last accessory that he comes with are alternate hands, so they're basically the same. Stiction has permanently stuck these in. That one's willing to move, this one not so much. Basically the only difference is that these form fists instead of grasping hands, so that he can just beat the shit out of people, which is cool, but I don't really feel that it's necessary. Actually, I just found where Mr. Stabby goes. It's right in his boot, and it looks really good. Like the detailing on that, I really love the way that they've differentiated the matte sections from the sections that are leather or plastic with that gloss paint. It turned out really well, and they've even got attention to detail, like little copper coloured paint specks on the rivets there. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, for a first time action figure, like first Arrow figures from this show, they did turn out looking pretty well, if the posability has suffered a bit. And you can see in there where I tried to force it to move, I now have scraped some of the paint off. So I think if you buy these, you better to consider them static figures from the waist down, and don't try and bend it at the hip, because I've just caused an ugly permanent blemish on his groin there. That's a bit annoying. I'm guessing that most people have a lot of NECA figures, so if you're wondering how they go with NECA, here is Hudson from Aliens. He's right on the same size as these guys, so in your NECA world, on your NECA shelf, these DC guys from Arrow are going to fit in just fine. That looks pretty good to me. My final thoughts, out of the two, I would definitely say Deathstroke is the standout figure. He just feels a lot nicer in hand, and his detailing is good, but he's got more posability, and the head issue in Oliver Queen doesn't do it really justice. Now, there are new figures coming out, I think early in 2015, so I've ordered a few of them. I haven't ordered them all. Like, I didn't order Bullseye, but I ordered his girlfriend, whose name slips my mind, something Canary, I can't remember. I wish they would do all of the characters that I care about. I'd like to see a Diggle, like Dig, whatever they call him, the big guy. I would like to even see it branch out into Flash. I'd like to see Felicity Smoak. Man, I would like to buy a Felicity Smoak figure. That would be awesome. They haven't listed her, which is, disappointing. There is a new Deathstroke coming out. Now, I'm not clear whether the new version is the same as the old version, just with a red side of his head instead of yellow, but I've ordered it, so I guess I'm going to find out soon enough. I basically like these figures. I think that they're probably worth getting. That's coloured heavily for me by the show, just because I really enjoy the show. I know it's a bit kind of, it's a comic book kind of show. You can predict what's going to happen, and if you know the story already, then I guess you can really predict what happens when you hear the names of the characters and stuff like that. But I just enjoy it. I think it's fun to watch, and that enjoyment of the show has really carried over for me into wanting to buy toys, and thank God they've given us toys to buy. So go out and get them. That's my video review for DC Collectibles, Oliver Queen as the Arrow, and Slade Wilson as Deathstroke 2-pack. I'm odeean. Thank you for watching.